good morning, and good morning. How are you? Yes, I am here. Now, let me tell you, my weekend was amazing. I got to do which I love to do. I got to sing at a wonderful theatrical production, not a play, a production. And it was based on the story of an event that actually happened here in Pensacola, Florida. It was the death of Abraham. And I believe his name was Abraham Jackson. And this was all the things that happened in the next 2 days in terms of his mind as he was moving on to his higher glory of death. It was absolutely wonderful. Thanks, Joan. Oh my God, it was just so good. Thanks, Joan. Thank you, and Jim, and so many people. The house was full, and man, we were absolutely loving it. We love the fact that the Lord delivered the people and we were able to perform. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I had such a grand time. In fact, we hadn't eaten all day. So when we finished, we went to get something to eat. And the interesting thing about it is, I couldn't even eat much. I was so excited, like a child, that had gotten to do something or receive something that they always wanted. And that's how it felt like. Thank you, Joan. I thought so too. I thought it really was awesome that we were able to pull it off. And then I've heard some good news from some, a possible financial backer. So I'm just gonna try to look at what else I can do in the effort of bringing this wonderful, amazing program, theatrical program. Actually, it's a production on to many more understanding and seeing it in the form of where it can be retained in memory based on the fact that people had a goal. Robin Richard had a goal, and the goal is to be a writer, to be a historical writer, to write about some of the events that no one knows about that went on here in Pensacola, Florida. And it just was so engaging. So thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. And it kind of prompted me for what I was going to do today. The interesting thing is that, because I worked so much over the weekend, I really didn't get a chance to create a new, actually research and come up with a new word for today. So what I did is I went back and asked myself, well, what did I see yesterday? What was going on? And I talked about a goal. How many of us have dreams that we never go back to, ever? I mean, we have a dream, it comes to us, we put no effort in it. We put none at whatsoever. And, I am a person, I am a dreamer. If you're a dreamer, put it in there. But I am a dreamer, and I do constantly, I'm writing stuff, but I need to tie them together, make it where, it's not just, a small story, but it's a story that's large enough that not only can be read, but someone could read it to you, whatever, it's just be absolutely beautiful. But thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, and Carney. I saw y'all last night too. So I'm excited about all the folks that came, and a lot of Greater Little Rock Baptist Church. I thank my pastor, Dr. Lonnie Davis Westy III. I thank him and his lovely wife, LaTanya. It was just an awesome production, and I just appreciate everyone who just came in on it, and it worked so wonderfully. But of course, we came to talk about today. So here I am today, setting goals. I said, let's do a reset for us. Let's do a reset. I know it's still in the early part of the year, but we're already in the third month. Okay, we're almost in the middle of the third month. So when we think about ourselves, what are we doing? What have we set a goal for ourselves? We may be writing all the time, but do we complete it? We may be, doing a project, but do we complete it? Maybe an art project, it may be that we're a seamstress, we're sewing, but we never go back to the sewing machine. We never go back to writing stuff. That's what we're talking about today, the dream. So, my consummate dreamer that I love to listen to, every once in a while I would go and find some information on him, and I just love it because he always recenters me, which is Langston Hughes. And Langston Hughes, to me, in his misery, in his joy, and then in his goals that he set for himself, he identified himself wherever he was along those tracks. He did, and this one is called Dream Deferred, and everyone knows it. Well, maybe not everybody, but anyway, it's one of my favorite poems of his. But it says, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? So when you say, or does it explode, that's given, okay, that means something happened to it. It blew up. It went better. Mine too. Thank you, Joan. We have to think about some of the things that we do that, they have no real value. I think about, even for myself, and I use a lot of time where I'm doing something for myself, for someone else, and I'm working. But then I also think at those times when I do nothing, we only have so many hours, so many minutes, so many days, so many months, so many years in this life. What are we doing with this life, in this life? What are we doing with it? So I got some things to talk about. Let's set goals. Let's reset ourselves. Find a goal that makes you happy. Find a goal that gives you joy, gives you peace, get you excited, to get you excited about something. So it says in the goals, of course, is requiring and establishing a benchmark and working to achieve them. That is a goal. That's what goals are. Not only did you say, I'm going to do it, then you work on it and you complete it. That's the goals. It says from steps down to steps around, then steps up. Okay. Meaning you got to dig deep a little bit. You got to go around left and right and figure out, how do I do this? This is big for me. This is big. So how do I step up and make it where it's visible? Make it where it's part of my legacy. Because I always think about that. What will we leave behind? Heirlooms that the kids don't care about. But it could be something that you left that was monumental, something that was cherished. Maybe it's a quilt, maybe it's a painting, maybe it's a poem, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's just the words that you said. Because I can still remember the words my mother said that were in my ears, and they motivated me to do whatever else. My mother was my motivation to get my doctorate. So sometimes we have to think, because she said she was denied education after the 8th grade. Well, when I got to the 8th grade and thinking I'm going to go on to the 9th grade and the 10th grade, my mother would always say, that's a privilege. You got something I didn't get. You didn't. In fact, all her last 4 children did. The ones that were that were older, they did not. So we have to look at what it is that we want in our lives and how we can make it where not only are they pleasurable and reachable, but they're done. They're completed. They're ours. They're ours. So anyway, my G this morning is for gravity. Gravity is the force. It's pulling us. What's pulling you? It's the force. It says a force that attracts a body toward the center of the earth or toward any other physical body having mass. Meaning we're looking at what's pulling us towards getting this done, towards the center of who we are and towards the ability to put out something. How do we do it? How? We have to figure it out. So it says it's an attraction. It's the downward force because it's pulling. It is the pull. It is the weight. And it is the heaviness. How do we make it work for us? Sometimes we don't know. I got to be honest. Sometimes we might be upside down in our thoughts and worried about what somebody else may be doing. I say, don't worry about your competition until it's over. Then you can always add more to it. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? Goal. That's right. Setting goals. How many of us set goals? I do. If you set a goal, put it in there. I always set goals. Always. Something I got to do and when I got to get it done. Like, to me, I treat everything that I'm doing, even for Are You Stuck, even though I knew I was tired when I came in last night and we had fallen forward. So I'm like, okay, I can't fall asleep. I got to get it done. So I made sure that I still have, because when I look back, I've been doing my Are You Stuck now since 2015. So almost 10 years. I got a lot of work already behind me that I keep on. Well, the initial ones were on paper or old computers, but I eventually downloaded them and got them where I needed to get them to. Good morning, Ardelia. Thank you for coming yesterday. Thank you. I'm telling you. I talk more about the play at the end. But anyway, so when we look at our goals, are we trying to set them and reach them? If we're not, then we need to be. Okay? Because as I said, when we're dead, we're done. There's nothing else that can be done once we go into those final, days, hours, minutes, seconds. We're out. What have we left behind? To me, it's that people can look and say, she did something. We see it. She did something. We heard it. She did something. We were able to walk with it. We were able to use it for ourselves. That's what we want. What are we doing? So after we do the whole gravity thing, which is pulling us into it, we want to talk about how organized are we about getting it done. Do you write things down? Are you scatterbrained? They said one thing about Einstein is that he had a lot of junk around his table, but they say if you moved one thing, he knew what it was. Okay, so to me, he was organized chaos. I can't be that disorganized and say that I'm organized. I can't do it. Good morning, Mac Adams. How are you doing this morning? Good to see you in the space. Today, our word is goals. Do we have goals? Do we set them? Do we reach them? Do we look after ourselves in the process of moving from it coming to us any way it comes? Because sometimes a goal may have been that we just woke up one morning and we had it, okay? Or it could have been something that we read or something that we watched on TV. We don't know how all goals come, but some of our goals come from just practical things. How did it happen? I woke up one day and decided I'm going to do this. That's a goal. So, but we have to be, after the gravity, which is pulling us to it, we have to talk about how organized are we? Original. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like everything that was done at that play last night, that was original. She created that. Robin Richard created that. And all we did as performers is we interpreted it how we felt it should have gone for our parts. That's what we did. So we feel what she saw as a goal. And every time we added our own little performance texture, she loved it. She said, well, I didn't think of doing it, because she's the writer. But then when she got to see it, the goal is okay, that's good. Create that again. So that's how we did it. That's exactly how we did it. So we look at being organized. How organized that you, once you've made a goal to reach your goal. And organized is being arranged in a systematic way. Sometimes we might be original in our idea. Thank you, Joan. But we may be disorganized in how we can get it done. And so it becomes what? A wilted idea on the vine, waiting again for some water, some water, some sunlight, some pull, some time put in, all of that. So if we don't ever do it, then that means it's an issue. It's our issue because it won't get done. So organized also, especially on large scale, and sometimes must be well organized in order to be ordered in terms of the steps that are to be taken. Must be orderly, must be neat, tidy, and planned. That's what organized is. Now, sometimes we may be disorganized and arrive with something that came out of your disorganization. Not very many people can say that. Not very many. Most of us are going to have to put something on paper, on computer, on tablet, on phone. Okay. And the interesting thing about my phone is that they always wonder when I'm at church, they might think I'm texting to someone, but I always take down notes from what our pastor said, because the books that I have, they filled up too fast. But these little things here, this little computer has great capacity. So I take my notes section out, and I can type what the sermon is, where he was preaching out of, if he did it epistolically, how to put all the information in the three areas that he said. That's how I do it. But I do that also for every word that I write. Every word that we're going to discuss is all done on my phone, and then I just print it out. So sometimes we have to figure out. Sometimes you might, while you're out, get an idea. Write the idea down. Don't let it go like into the vapor. Write it down. Figure out how it will work for you. So you must be organized. So gravity, being organized, and then having an angle. And angles really talks about the space, usually measured in degrees, okay, between two intersecting lines or surfaces at a close to the point where they meet. So that means the angle is, you're going to figure out, okay, I'm going to put these two things together. I'm going to put this thing together. They're going to meet like this. They're going to do. And then all of a sudden, that's how you're building whatever it is that you're putting together. Your story. Say you're a storyteller, okay, or you're a writer, or you're a poet, you're a painter, okay. You can't have the wing of the bird on top of the head. Okay, I'm being funny. But you see what I'm saying? How are you organizing what it is that you're working on? The goal is to make it as welcomed and loved as what you're seeing as you're doing it. So that's what the goal is. So the angle has to be that you're looking at the slant of it, the inclination of it, the geometrical relation to it. And we always think of this maybe only being in something artistic. No. I think in our daily lives, the goals that we put forward, we must look at our own angles. How are we intersecting with the other things that we need to do, or it might even be the other people? How are we doing that? Are they in a situation that makes it work for us? It may be, or it may be that we need something else in there. What's missing? Is it like we have two sides but nothing is meeting? So how do we make the one side meet with the other side if they're supposed to? What information needs to go in between? What colors if it's painting? If it's music, what notes? If it's writing, what words? You see, that's how it is. It's all looking at the angles of everything. Then my L of goals, GOALS. So my angle of goals, which I'm on the L, it's what's my leverage? How am I leveraging this out? And it says to use your maximum advantage, to grip it, to hold it. That means it's yours. I'm quite sure when Robin started this research, she never looked at it. She never looked at it at just being the research. She looked beyond the research and how she could make it a story. So anyway, this was the play. And it's Freedom is a Priceless Boon, or The Emancipation of Abraham. And I tell you, it opens your eyes to not just history, but how even history related to us here makes sense. Learning, that's great. That's it. Action, yes, action for you have to have action in order to meet your goals. If there's no action, guess what? No goal is being reached. Nothing's being done. So you do need action and absolute learning. If you are learning, that not only are you learning about yourself, but you're learning what else needs to go into the goal that you've set. It might be more time. It might be more product. It might be more people. What is it that you're doing? And it all goes together. So learning is great. Thank you, Joan. So with the leverage, we're looking at how are you gripping it and holding it. There may be something that you have to purchase in order to get started. It says also looking at the grasp of it, and the contact. That means we have to connect with whatever we're doing, whatever it is. It says, I viewed the production and it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lavender. We've been working trying to make sure that we brought something quality. It wasn't meant to be a play. It was meant to be just what she calls it, a theatrical production. And that's what it was, and bringing people along with us. It's not just that she told of the original story of Abraham and his accident, but it's the love story that was created after that. It was absolutely beautiful. But thank you so much. I'm over the moon with that part right there, that people came. And I mean, Joan was there and Ardelia was there. There were a lot of people. We estimate maybe, and I think they said they had printed 500. They printed 500 bulletins or 500 programs, and I'm quite sure that most were gone. So we're real excited about that. My last letter in the whole concept of our word today of goals is scale. How do we scale it for it to be exactly as we want? Exactly. See, sometimes we scale to the point where we stop working because we get stuck. Sorry, not throw that in there. But when we realize what the scale should it be this big? Should it be that small? Should it be this high? Should it be that wide? We're constantly readjusting where we need to be. Specifics. Come on now. Joan is on it today. Yes. What are the specifics? How do you gauge it? It says, and the scale is a set of numbers that help to measure the quality of the object. So when we look at the numbers, and I use numbers lightly in this instance because we might be looking at how big we want something to be, how wide, and how able we are to accomplish it. It may be looking at time. Okay, how much time do we have, especially if it's something that's been commissioned? Because listen, the level of your work, once you're known to do certain things, folks will come to you to ask you, hey, I have a goal. Can you help me with it? And you may say yes and be able to do it, or you may say yes and have trouble with it. Ain't it simple? Plain and simple. So we want to look at the scale of things. If it's too big for you, say it's too big, or if you need to cut it. What I do when I've had big projects is cut them down into smaller pieces. I scale it. That's how I do my scaling. Because something that is huge and unwielding and out of control makes it be a goal that's too hard to ever complete. And most people, like for myself, when I knew I wanted a doctor, but all I kept saying is, how you gonna do that, Sandy? Okay, Winnie, how you gonna do that? And then once I understood that they had a system to help you get it done, it made the tackling of that goal more reachable, more attainable. And they scaled it for you because they said, oh no, you don't think about the end. You have to think about, how do I begin? And then once I begin, how do I build on what I began with? That's what we need you to do. We need you to carry it along. Don't make it where it's something that has absolutely swamped you. Okay. You realize that, okay, I'm only at this point, so I can't deal with anything up above here. That's the point I'm at right there. Okay. Stepping stones. Exactly. It is your stepping stones. Realizing this is where I'm at. Okay, I can't go above where I'm at because I'm not there, but I can go here, and I should know everything that's below it. That's how it's done. So the scaling would be, what extent do you decide that you're going in? How are you going to scale it back to make it work for you? And it says you're looking at the portions. Don't have the portions where they're so large. Okay. And a lot of times we even with eating, we went out to eat last night, even though I hadn't eaten all day, and I was hungry. They had an appetizer, and the appetizer was a few different little things in the middle of the table. And they said, will you help yourself? Well, that was horrible, because once I helped myself, I took a little bit of this and a piece of bread and something else. Oh, and I took some, like an olive salad thing on top. By the time my actual meal came, which was a small meal, I brought it home. I ate one piece of it, and it's in the refrigerator for lunch today. So, we sometimes look at things being huge, and we have to settle down and say, look, this is all I can have right now. I can't have all of it. I only need a little bit. So we must look at our portions. We must look at the range that we have to get it done. Don't listen. Sometimes when we're beat, we need to say we're beat. When we need to go to sleep, go to sleep. Yes, Lavender, I know I said that. Yeah. When we need to just have some quiet time, okay? Or we need to read somebody else's book or take a walk, those kinds of things. Try a meal, okay? Scale it. You scale it. And then when you come back to it, not only do you refresh yourself on how far you got, but you also give yourself some claps, because you really completed something, and you're ahead of where you were before, because now you're back to on top of it. You're on it. Okay. It also talks about the scope of it. And then it talks about you forming a systematic approach to completion, because it's scaled. That means every ring you go up higher and higher and higher. Isn't that Jacob's ladder? Okay. Well, look, higher and higher. That's what you want. You want to go to meet your goal. The goal is high. You're looking up at your goal. Well, in order to reach the goal, you have to set the bar. So you're going to look at what's going to pull you to it. That's your gravity. You're going to, how organized am I to getting it? That's your way. That's your way forward. That looks at your ability to be orderly. Okay. What's your angles? What things need to, touch this, that, and the other? What's the degree between this thing and that thing? Do I have to do some more research? Do I have to go buy some more paint? Whatever it is. Do I need new material? Those things. Okay. And you talk about the leverage. The leverage is the use of your maximum ability. What's holding it together? That's the leverage. How strong is it? Are the bonds tight? Is it tightly woven? That's what you want. And then the scale. The scale is, I can't worry about what's ahead of me. I first need to meet this. I need to meet this right here. So I scale it to where I've completed that. And then that gives me that stone that Lavender just mentioned to move up higher and to move up higher and to move up higher. Listen, that's today's session. I'm hoping you liked it. But this was all because, well, I got to be honest. I was too tired to come home and create a word, because I don't create words, but to come home and look up a word and run all the information on the word, its origin, all that. But I couldn't do that because I was tired from putting on our play, our theatrical production. And we got that through. And then I got home and I said, I can't do it tonight. I lost that hour. I can't do it. But I'll be back on this coming Wednesday with another word of, are you stuck? It's a question. It's a personal question, because I didn't ask, are we stuck? Even though collectively probably we could say we are. But we're going to say, are you stuck? And I'll be back Wednesday. We'll have another word. Listen, you don't have to pay me, but if you would just feel so kind and be so kind to actually just put this out as a shared, content video, and let it fly. Every once in a while, I do hear from Meta and Facebook to say that I'm doing well because I do engage people. So I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate you if you came last night. I appreciate you if you watched it. But listen, I got goals I'm still setting, and I got goals that I believe God is going to help me complete before I close my eyes for the last time. I thank each and every one of you. I will see you soon. See you soon. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.